cars are becoming like a smartphone on wheels. While product is one solution, however, the entire ecosystem works on building strategic partnerships. When you are moving to a new category, it is also a change in your lifestyle, changes your behavior. So this is where this entire, I would say, space or segment of repurposing and recycling of battery is coming up. Manufacturing, if you see, traditionally has always been a male-dominated industry. We took an aim to have 50% diversity in our workforce.
Neha, we expected a watershed moment, but that moment hasn't come in India yet, or is it just the inflection point is right around the corner? Hi, welcome to the We Women project. Today, I'm here in Gurgaon at the JSW MG Motor corporate office and have the absolute pleasure to be in conversation with Neha Jain, who is the head of electric vehicles and the innovation ecosystem. Such a pleasure to have you on the VWP, Neha. Thank you so much for giving us the time. And if you can just tell us briefly, before we get started, what does innovation ecosystem mean? And, given EV is such an important area for the country as a whole, what does it mean? And what is it that you do?
First of all, thank you, Vilasini, for having me. It's absolute honor to be part of this, series with you.
Thank you so much.
So, as part of this role, basically, I take care of the electric vehicle ecosystem and innovation ecosystem. What it means is that, now we are into that phase in the industry where we are moving towards electric vehicle and the adoption is increasing. However, this is, I would say, a very big tipping point because, we are moving from a very big traditional ICE dominant industry to a new technology and a new, segment. So while products will be there, it is very important that, along with the product, there should be an ecosystem of all the enablers and all the areas which can help to build this adoption further.
Absolutely.
So what I will say that, while product is one solution, however, the entire ecosystem works on building strategic partnerships, on building new solutions, and building, in some cases, innovation also to answer and bring the solutions to the new, I would say, new set of requirements. So this is where the role of EV and innovation ecosystem comes into picture. And as MG, this has been the thought of the leadership from day one when this brand was started, that before building the category, how to first build the ecosystem so that together then all the solutions and the product can give a one-stop, confidence to the customers to be more confident for adopting electric vehicles. So key areas like charging infrastructure, battery life cycle management, new components, there are new suppliers, new supply chain. So a lot of these areas get covered into the ecosystem, and this is where my work primarily, lies in this ecosystem.
Lovely. I think it's a very important job on your shoulders. Like, before we get started, we just kind of set the context in terms of where we are in the electric vehicle space. So I was, I kind of did some research, and there was about 175,000 electric four-wheelers that got sold and about 1.15 million of two-wheelers that got sold. And we're actually now sitting on about 29,000 charging stations across the country, etc. I'm giving all these numbers, but it still is only about 8% of the total mobility, correct? So even though this standalone looks impressive, it's only about 8% of total mobility. And, when you talk to a ground level person, there is a certain perception that they carry about electric vehicles, especially in the four-wheeler segment still. So, what is the perception, where is the difference, or what is that perception and what is the reality that you are driving? If you can give some flavor to that.
Sure. So I would say that if you look at the Indian EV industry, we are still at a very nascent stage. We are only so products were there in the market, but if you see on the mainstream side, in last 6-7 years, the kind of growth we have seen in the segment is something which is actually driving this adoption. The good part is that India is a diverse market itself. So not only four-wheeler, we are seeing two-wheeler, three-wheeler market adoption as well. And now there are segments like electric buses, trucks also are coming, in this sector. So one thing that we can see it from a lens that how, as a nascent industry and as a nascent ecosystem, this entire space is coming out. Secondly, I think one very important factor in driving this adoption is the advancement in the technology, with new battery chemistries coming up, with more. As you can see now, there are higher range of batteries available, so you can get long range from the vehicles. There are all cars are becoming connected, so there are a lot of experience that you can drive. So first, I would say earlier, cars especially were meant for mobility, but now if you see, it is converting from mobility to an experience itself, and with the connected technology, with advanced batteries, etc., it is becoming a connected platform in itself. So and what we are also seeing very positively is every year the adoption is increasing.
Right. That is
yes,
true.
in some segments like two-wheeler, three-wheeler, the adoption is much faster.
Two-wheeler is extremely high.
Right.
Yeah. So does it say something about Indian mobility?
I would say that it talks about Indian diversity first, because as a main segment, as ICE segment also, if you see, India is a predominantly a two-wheeler, three-wheeler market as well. And actually, there are a lot of factors that helps in a faster adoption in two-wheeler. For example, the low cost of ownership. People use it for their daily commute. Now we are also seeing with per kilometer lower cost, the sense of using EVs become more, I would say, positive. So and it becomes cost effective. So that's one part. In four-wheelers, now we see that yes, the initial, I would say, hurdles were that the cost of electric vehicles are perceived to be higher, and that is also because there's a cost of battery which is approximately 40% of the cost of vehicle itself. So to make it mass, for going for mass adoption, the prices has to come down. And one thing that we are also seeing is in the last 4-5 years also, the trend you see now, there are so many vehicles available in different price segments, right from sub 10 to above 20 lakhs as well. Then there's luxury segment. So the good part is now with all such different kind of products and the options, so all customers have something or else to choose from.
That's right. Interesting.
So that also gives a very positive, I would say, option
to the customer,
for the customers.
At the core of it, Neha, is it that a two-wheeler is used for a shorter distance and a four-wheeler is used for a longer distance, and that's the core difference in the mind of a consumer? Like battery nahi chalega ek highway pe. I've heard these things verbatim on the ground.
Right.
What if I get stranded on a highway, etc., which you don't have in a two-wheeler. Is it one of the key differentials that the ecosystem is learning to solve?
So I would say that for both the categories, actually the use case and the user preference, a lot of such factors also make a decision point. For example, if you see customers who are buying four-wheeler electric vehicles as well, so there are a lot of them who are using it for daily commute to offices. And yes, like I said, as the batteries are getting advanced, the range is getting longer. So we are also seeing that comfort level that now you can imagine an EV for an intercity travel as well. So while for a two-wheeler, it is never ever an option, be it ICE and or EV. You are not traveling between two cities in a two-wheeler majorly. But in four-wheelers, you normally do so. And with EVs now, with better performance and range, etc., intercity commute is also becoming feasible. So the trend is that in the initial phases, people used to consider EV as maybe a second car at home. But now the confidence is also to
building to make it the
primary car.
So the way I see it is the ecosystem is learning together.
Yes.
The manufacturers, the ecosystem, everybody is learning together to make this and year on year there is something that's developing in a much larger scale. Thank you so much for that, Neha. Before we go ahead with the EV conversation, something about you. Where did you grow up? How was your childhood? What were your ambitions? If you can tell us.
So, I started from a very humble background. So, I come from a service family. My parents were both working and ex-bankers, and typical, hardworking and career building aspirations were there in the household. I'm from Delhi only, so I've been born and brought up here. So growing up were like normal years where there was a lot of, in terms of family values, there were a lot of I would say focus on being independent, being doing your right career selection, be thorough with your academics like a normal family
middle expectations.
Yes. So I think, but that values stood very firm, and that shaped my early academic period in the school time as well. And after that I did my graduation, which is from Delhi itself, as an engineer. Then I passed out and I did my MBA as a post graduation as well from Delhi. So post that, then my professional journey started. And today, with 15 years of experience, I've worked across different industries, be it mobile industry or FMCD. And now
I definitely want to touch upon that because you have a very interesting trajectory. And I think our viewers should know, how that kind of shaped up. You started as a portfolio analyst with HSBC. And you moved into FMCG, and today you are heading a very important but a very different kind of a segment in the manufacturing world. So how did that, if we can touch upon what gave you the confidence, what made you agile, what made you choose these sectors, that could be helpful for our audience as well.
Sure. So I would say that my career choices, some of the things you plan in life and some of the things just happen. But I think the entire difference, what happens is how you take those opportunities and you convert them. So initially, as if I say the first phase of the career, it started with, as a newcomer in any industry, and you start with learning the nuances of your work, of your industry, of your company, etc. So this is how I kept on, I would say, working, delivering, and understanding also, because these are all new areas. However, after spending my time in the first company, which was Lava Mobiles, where I was working as a product manager, then I shifted to actually a new industry. But the role and the business opportunity was, I would say, as a growth. So there, as a different industry, again, it was a little bit different in terms of understanding the new concepts and the nuances of that industry. But again, I think if your fundamentals are strong, this is something that is core to every business and every function across the different roles and profiles. So that is how I kept building on keeping some business fundamentals.
If you say fundamentals, can you list out the fundamentals? Like, what would it be? Like first 90 days in a company, or first when you enter an industry, what are the fundamentals and what is it that you will work on?
So the first fundamental is that you have to always start from scratch, right? So some things, yes, you carry forward some learnings that you have done in the past, but if it is a new industry or a new space, maybe you have experience of a lot of years, but you are still a beginner there. So you should have that kind of an inquisitiveness and curiosity to know what is happening in that space. So that's number one. And secondly, start always from the bottom. So, understanding where and how the business is happening. So be it, for example, in FMCG, the best learning space is you go to the shop and talk to the shopkeeper. Similarly, if you go to the auto industry, talk to the customer, for example. So these are all very basics that helps you to understand that why or how the business works basically. So this is one part, and then obviously as the industry evolves and as your role evolves, sometimes there's a lot of other things that you learn on the job. So but if you follow these fundamentals, I think no matter you are in a different industry or a same industry, you will be able to manage
and outperform, if I may say so. So what is the superpower you bring to the table, Neha?
So see, when you work in a setup like this and in a segment like this, I would say there is no magic recipe, and plus there's not a single person who can change the game altogether.
Absolutely.
So one thing what I can say is that you have to be a team player and you have to work with a lot of stakeholders. Now this can be internal, external, and this can be your partners, your fellow colleagues, and your leaders. So I think as a individual, always I've been very open to working collaboratively with all the stakeholders, understand different perspectives, and see that how and which point of view can help you to get the answer to your questions. So I think if you work collaboratively in this manner, and you also think of the core problems. See, sometimes we think from an angle of what is available as a solution, but some problems may need a fundamental rewiring of the frameworks which already exist.
Right.
So I think if you work on that aspect, on core is the problem first, and then you design a solution. So I think that is the approach that always helps.
Beautiful. If you were to pinpoint, the kind of value that you have brought into this ecosystem in the last couple of years, what do you think it would be? You said it beautifully. I think taking team together, understanding the core issue, I think they're all very, very critical nuances. But if there was one thing that you would say that, this is attributable to Neha in the last couple of years, what will it be?
So I would say that thing will be speed. Because while there are sometimes solutions, then there are ideas and all, but execution needs one thing is execution brings results, and the difference it makes is through speed. So I think that is one aspect I can definitely say, and I will be thankful also to the brand philosophy, because here as MG we also have speed as our culture, where as a for a ease of business and for execution speed, I think that is what also makes the DNA of brand MG as well in this space.
Lovely, Neha. So now let's kind of step back into the EV space. Okay, tell us something about MG Motor in India. Of course, JSW needs no introduction to an Indian, but MG Motor, what were their goalposts when they came into India, etc.?
So MG started its journey in India around 9 years back. We started in 2017. So MG has been an iconic British marquee already, and it has a history of around 100 years, where performance and technology has always been the core of the brand. So when MG entered in India, so the thought that was that how as an auto OEM, MG can bring new I would say technology, new products, and bring a newness in the market. So this is where disruption was one thing that we tried to achieve in everything that we did. So also then when we partnered with JSW, it started another chapter in the, I would say, in the journey of the brand. And with JSW, the partnership built a lot of strength in terms of, be it local manufacturing, industrial strength of the JSW group itself, then supply chain innovation, etc. So I think then both the brands coming together and working to make this an India first brand is how the journey has been.
Has evolved. And it's significant that I think you are now second in the EV market, and you moved from within the MG framework, you moved from a single digit to almost EV contributing to 50% of the total sales, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So that's significant, that's a significant leap. So if you can tell us 2-3 pointers that kind of led to it, it will be interesting.
So I think MG's journey and success in this journey is a very good example of how the right product market fit, can create success in the market. So if you see the performance of MG's business in the EV segment, especially, one thing is very positive to see also, that this is not something which is driven as a push strategy, right? The products, whether it has been MG ZS EV, which was our first launch in the market as a global connected electric SUV. Then the second is Comet, which was again a disruption in the market with the first of its kind urban mobility solution of a compact car, specially designed for congested cities in India. And the third has been Windsor. So again with Windsor, the success that we are seeing together for all the products is that the product and the market fit has been, I would say, rightly identified for Indian segment. Secondly, there were obviously some, I would say, barriers in the minds of customers when it comes to EV. So as a brand, it was always our endeavor to solve these barriers from a customer perspective as well. So while there are other stakeholders and partners also who are working on it, but we introduced initiatives, be it related to the charging infrastructure, like our public charging program, community charging programs like MG Charge, our unified charging platform, which is called eHub by MG, then battery as a service, BAS program. So all these programs were designed to address the concerns or barriers that customers have in mind while buying an EV. So I think with this approach, the solution becomes quite comprehensive, and that is where the customer then feels confident to switch to electric vehicles.
Understood. When you say you got the Indian product market fit right, what is the Indian seeking? If you can break that down.
Sure. So, when we look at our average usage for a car, so basically we are looking at, first is obviously at a product level requirements. That product has comfort, product has performance, product has because you are also a lot of time traveling with your family, so safety matters. And it should be spacious enough to take your family along with you. So all these are one aspects which are at a personal level. But then if you see, as an Indian mindset, we are also very cautious of our call when it comes to cost. So the product that we are buying, what is the cost, what is the total cost of ownership, in ICE we talk about mileage. So here in EV we talk about range, or per kilometer cost. So there are a lot of factors that come into mind. And one very interesting thing about EVs also is, EV is not only a product transition, it is also a change in the lifestyle.
Right.
Because for so many years we are used to a particular pattern of how to fuel our car, when to fuel our car, where, etc. So there are some patterns which are defined in our mind. However, if you see in EVs, so one biggest shift is that your 85 to 90% of your charging you can do at your home. So if that is done, most of your charging needs are already taken care of.
Unless.
Then you can also plan your trips if you're going for long distance, etc. So overall, the aspect is that when you are moving to a new category, it is also a change in the lifestyle, changes your behavior, patterns, right? So keeping these things in mind, when you see an EV, for example, I'll explain you mathematically. When you charge your car, so the cost of charging or cost of running your car is less than 1 rupee per kilometer.
Right.
For an Indian customer now with rising fuel prices, etc., this is already a big saving. So although while you are spending maybe a little bit higher amount at the beginning, but over the period of 5 years, you will get significant saving, which reduces or make your EV at par with your ICE car. So Indian customers are cost conscious. They are very cost efficient as well, I would say. So these aspects help you to take your decisions accordingly.
So something like a nudge, you nudge the customer behavior in some form through your public programs, through the outreach missions that you do, or is it just performance on the ground?
So I would say this.
Because if it's a behavioral shift, I completely understand that, Neha, that it is a behavioral shift. It is a mindset change that has to happen, and it is happening slowly and steadily. But what is it that helps that that shift?
Okay, so let's break it down in this journey. So, if you see the first set of EV adopters, they were the first movers. People who were quite excited to experiment with a new product, new technology, and all. And I think slowly and gradually now you see, after the first movers, the word of mouth also helps to convince
the next
set of customers.
Okay.
Like as an Indian household, we can see that we also when we are purchasing a car, we discuss with our friends, families,
yes,
and relatives on what car should we buy or what is the recommendation. Now we have seen that the people who are already driving EVs, they have a very strong word of mouth for the customers who are still on the edge, and to actually convince those customers, or I would say to build that confidence, education is very important. So to answer your question, it's not the nudge, I would say it is the education and awareness which is important.
Awareness on one end and the experience on the other. That is changing this. So from a cost perspective, there were 2-3 things that I thought I will speak later on in the podcast, but I'm going to bring that up upfront. One is, how does the higher cost upfront get justified? 2 is, when you're justifying a higher cost, right? Many times we start looking at now an EV vehicle like a product, like a mobile phone. It's no longer like an investment that's going to be with me for 10, 11 years, my car that's going to be. So it's going to be a 3-4 year cycle and not a 20-year cycle. So from that perspective, again, cost.
So if you see EV as a segment, cost, we'll have to look at from a different perspective. If you see, your running cost becomes very low because the cost of driving your car is hardly 1 rupee or even less than 1 rupee, for the entire time period. Now, in addition to that, in EVs, that there's no maintenance cost literally because there are not many parts, so your maintenance cost also reduces upfront. If you look at the entire charging cost, running cost, and then your maintenance cost itself, so overall, and on an average of 5-year running period, you see that EV cars are actually at par with the ICE cars. And this is what I think the customers are also, consumers are realizing this, and that is how they see a long-term value in EVs. Secondly, one good, I would say, transition phase that we are in also is the increased share of renewable energy in the grid. So that also makes your, I would say, cost cheaper if you opt for solar or if you opt for any other renewable energy plan. So that also makes your overall running cost lower for EVs. So I think when we look at EVs and the cost of ownership, then we should look at all these aspects put together. That's number one. And secondly, I think in terms of the lifespan, in fact, I have a different view. EVs have much higher a lifespan than your normal cars, because as a battery, anyways, the average lifespan of a battery can last up to 10 to 15 years. So as a customer preference, if you want to switch your vehicles, that's one aspect. But from a longevity perspective, EV batteries actually do last longer.
Interesting.
So in that case, your value for the entire life cycle of your car is actually more positive, much higher.
So what I take away from this is that 5 years is the minimum period that you have to give for an IC and a EV vehicle to come on par. So 5 years of running, and then you're
on an average.
Yes. So then, your EV and IC comes on par. That's interesting. And the longevity is also something I didn't know. So so if I have to go to a dealer today to buy an EV, Neha, what are 3-4 questions I should definitely ask him? Like, what are the metrics I should evaluate before buying a car?
Okay. So I think, first of all, you can also share with the dealer, what is your requirement. Are you a daily commuter within the city? Or, for example, you are a person who wants to go for long drives or an intercity travel, because that will help you to decide the product, first of all, in a better way. And secondly, then I think to boil down on the product itself, some questions that any EV user should definitely see is, what is the range, the battery capacity and the range. And while there is, there are a lot of claimed range also. So you can check that with your usage and with your requirements, what is the range that you will be able to get from the car. Secondly, I think from a perspective of charging infrastructure. So because again, India is a diverse market. Every customer or consumer has a different kind of a household.
Right.
So are you living in a high rise? Are you living in a condominium or in a single flat, etc.? So where will be your primary charging station
destination?
And the good part is, now with the public charging stations coming up and with office spaces also having the charging infrastructure, etc. So you can have a lot of a top up or destination charging options available if all of these locations are also having a charging point. So that can be your second aspect. Third is, as a user, you should definitely look at what is your battery specifications, battery warranty, any terms and conditions. So these 3-4 things, and apart from that, as a normal expectation from a vehicle, what are the other things that you are seeing,
right?
In terms of performance, safety, comfort, etc. So these are the aspects from which you can evaluate your next vehicle.
So battery and charging, I think these two will be the key.
Yes.
One thing here, Neha, is that we are actually running at an average of 1 to 200. 1:200 in terms of charging station to vehicles, right? And globally, I think the metric is 1:6 in very developed countries and 1:20 in the good ones.
Right.
So how are we going to bridge this? And I think that will be the key. And from an India standpoint, India is so deep, India is so vast. How is this going to happen?
Right. So, see, I can answer this in terms of the different requirements that any EV user may have, because again, which is this is very specific to EV, because you have a comfort of charging at multiple locations. It's not only a fuel station that every time you are going.
Yeah.
So as MG, we introduced an initiative which was called a 6-way charging infrastructure, where we said that how to define different charging requirements at a different point of time for a customer. For example, your first solution is home charging. So you can get your personal charger at home, which is over and above this public chargers. So this is a personal use charger, and that will suffice for your majority of the needs. Then secondly, if you are going for say a long route or intercity travel, then these public charging stations come into picture. Then you can also opt for community chargings, for example, for your society, so your workplace, any public locations, they can also have. So when it comes to charging infrastructure, see, while this ratio is different for different countries, and at India we are still, I would say, evolving, and this matrix will definitely be better for Indian market as well. However, for EVs, all requirements we can look at from a different lens of different charging requirements. So, for example, not only public charging, we also have home chargers in EVs, which any user is also getting at a personal level. Then secondly is the concept of community charging or destination charging, where not only your house or a public location, but even your workplace, your school, colleges, hospitals, all these locations can also have the charging station where you can go for a immediate top up, or your workplace basically.
Right.
Then the third is a portable charging concept, right, where you can also now, a lot of startups are coming in this space who are giving a portable charging solution where a charger can also come to your home in case there is any requirement. So I would say, if you look at this entire picture, then there are a lot of different type of charging solutions available in the market today for different needs.
Understood.
And while public charging infrastructure is one piece, which is anyways getting strengthened as we are speaking, so these numbers are going to be better. But there are other innovative solutions also which users can use to get
to kind of overcome
the
at least till in the intermediary.
Yes.
To overcome this. You make a very valid point on renewable energy, Neha, that, when you club renewable energy with the charging, it becomes more viable for the customer. My question also is that, is the grid in India capacitated for this kind of, charging that is going to be envisaged in the future? Are we ready for it?
So, a work in this space also has started, Vilasini, because if we are aspiring for our 30 by 30 vision for electric mobility, then obviously grid has to go in hand in hand with the electrification requirement of the country. Now, one very positive picture which I can share here is, and which also brings India in a very, I would say, sweet spot here, is that we are also focusing on renewable energy mix. Our mix is improving year on year. So while there are sometimes questions on whether the electricity which we are using is completely green or not, but every year with the grid mix changing, we are actually using more renewable in charging these cars. Secondly, our dependence on fossil fuel imports is higher. So as more and more EVs will come into the mode of ecosystem, transport and in ecosystem, then our dependence and fuel import bills will also reduce. And third, and very important and very relevant in today's scenario in India, is also the cities which are congested with pollution. So with EVs, there is actually no emission at all. So more and more EVs can help us to bring down the pollution problem also in the major cities. Understood. So I think this 3 points put together build a very positive spot for India to actually build its, I would say, strength and its progress in this segment.
Absolutely. How do you see this in tier 2, tier 3 India versus the metros? What's the kind of split that you see?
So, I think with our higher volumes of EVs, one very positive thing that is also coming up is the penetration going down to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. In fact, for tier 2, tier 3 cities, actually the use case becomes more, I would say, positive, because in these cities, people live mostly in independent houses. So there are no parking issues. There are no, issues like power load enhancement, etc. Because in such cities, actually the infrastructure is individually more, I would say, available. Secondly, the commute is within the city majorly,
largely,
and it makes sense to commute through EVs. So and in fact, it also gives you a very positive, I would say, confidence, because that cost of ownership, which I was talking to you earlier about, that is one thing that is actually driving the EV adoption in tier 2, tier 3, because that per kilometer cost or driving cost comes significantly lower.
down. Yeah, interesting set of observations. From a global standpoint, right? I think, if you look at China, they're just way ahead in terms of both the ecosystem and the production. And on the other end, you have US, which is very California specific. That has made a lot of progress in EV. So from a global standpoint, where do you think India is vis-a-vis the rest of the world?
So if we see these markets, all markets are actually having a different dynamics, which are actually helping to push the EV adoption in these countries. If you look at China, then in terms of massive, there's a huge push on local production. There is a lot of, I would say, investment on batteries, battery technology, battery plants, cell manufacturing. So there is a lot of supply chain which is there built within China itself. Then the demand is also domestic. So a lot of brands which are developing, and they are also, I would say, growing domestically also, and driven by the local demand. However, if you see markets like Europe and US, then there is obviously a policy push. Then climate action is also on priority. So and plus people are also more, I would say, positive and accepting to EVs as a product. So there are different dynamics. However, if you see India market has its own strength actually in that term, because we are having a lot of support from government, who's actually pushing and focusing on this segment, first of all. So we have favorable policies, infrastructure is developing. So that is helping to build the ecosystem further. Then from a demand perspective, we have a growing middle class, which is actually with higher disposable income, and people with aspirations, and a new India, I would say, who's young, aspirational, and so there's a demographically this segment is driving the demand in the Indian economy. And this coupled with innovation, startups who are bringing new solutions specific to India market. And that is not only in fact four-wheelers, across the segments. So in the last 6-7 years also, you see so many companies or startups have come up who are actually building solutions specifically for India. And localization, again, a lot of policy push on production in India, PLI incentives, deep localization on the supply chain. So I think all of these factors put together build a very strong case for a market like India. And in the coming years, we can see the results of all these initiatives in a larger adoption.
Understood. What is the 30 by 30 government policy that thrust on EV?
So we are targeting 30% EV penetration by 2030.
Okay, understood. And that comes from the government.
Yes.
As I think. Understood. See, Neha, we expected a watershed moment. I actually asked you this global question because we've been thinking EV. In fact, each of us, postponed our car buying, saying the next EV vehicle will come. We will buy it then. But that moment hasn't come in India yet, or is it just the inflection point is right around the corner?
So Vilasani, I am a very optimistic person, at heart when it comes to the Indian EV story, because while there are challenges, and rightly so, because we are a huge country, we are a diverse market, and the journey has just begun. But what I feel very positive about is that the direction is right. We are getting right products now with the supply chain, with the economies of scale. The cost is definitely going to come down in the coming time, which will make EVs more accessible to, I would say, a wider set of consumers. Then infrastructure is developing, because it takes years to build that infrastructure for that segment. And with the right kind of policy push, stakeholders intervention, right kind of product and market fit, so we will see that this adoption is going to grow further only. The good part is you see right now tier 1 markets have evolved to it. Obviously the penetration is going to be increased in the coming years, and tier 2 tier 3 takes share is also increasing. So while there are challenges, which is there for any new segment or industry, I would say, but I think we are on the right path to address these challenges.
Understood. I hate to be this devil's advocate on this podcast, but my next question is around sustainability. Okay, because while a lot of conversation happens about EV and it being climate friendly, there is also this counter theory that batteries actually are not, or the battery disposal, waste disposal, etc., is not very climate friendly. Do you have, anything to, what is your view from that perspective?
Actually, in fact, I'm glad that you brought this point, because this is a very important aspect, and we should understand when we are talking about the entire ecosystem. So battery is a very critical component, and after the first life of battery, so yes, these questions are always in the mind, that what happens to the battery once its life is over. So I can give you two scenarios here. One is when the first life is over, if there are a lot of significant life which is still left in
that battery. Okay.
Now it might not be, I would say, useful for an automotive use, but still you can reuse that energy a lot by repurposing that battery. So this is where this entire I would say space or segment of repurposing and recycling of battery is coming up, and this is getting a major traction, because now going forward, as more and more batteries will come back into the system, this is an area where we need to have a real focus on. As MG, this has also been our priority area, and even before launching the first EV in the market, we partnered with some local and international players also to take care of the recycling and repurposing requirements of the battery. So one is repurposing. This is where you can use it in alternate use cases. For example,
give me a use case.
So you can use it in a stationary usage. For example, if there are still modules or cells which are available and they can be used, you can make another energy unit, in a very simple words, for this battery, and you can use it for a stationary storage requirement. In fact, we have ourselves have done a pilot on this, where we have deployed such units in a primary school in Uttarakhand.
Oh, okay.
To actually pilot this and take this as a use case.
Okay.
So that is one aspect. So there you are actually using it and increasing the lifespan of the battery.
It becomes like an inverter. Is it something to that? It's a power backup.
It's a power backup.
Okay,
right.
Understood.
And if the battery, suppose the life is not left, then you can go for recycling. Now, again here, with thanks to the latest advancements in the recycling process and technology, the good part is that you are able to recover almost 99% and more of all the critical materials that you are using in the battery.
Okay.
And once recovered, they are good to be used as a new raw material.
Okay.
For any new battery or cell.
That is.
So in that ways, recycling and repurposing put together helps to build or close the circularity in the EV battery life cycle.
Very interesting. Just for my personal knowledge sort of a thing, what are the components of this battery? What are the elements? I've heard of lithium. I've heard of one or two of these terms,
Yes.
but
so lithium ion is a technology that we say, but a lithium ion battery also has different kinds, like it's a MNC battery or LFP battery, so it has a further classification. So as an MNC battery, for example, it will have manganese, nickel, cobalt as the critical materials.
okay.
An LFP battery will have lithium, iron, phosphate, which are the critical materials there.
Okay.
And apart from that, there will be a rest of other metals and materials which are used in the battery.
Okay.
So basis the battery chemistry, actually this composition changes.
Okay.
And you recover these metals back when you recycle.
Understood. The other thing, Neha, is that in the early phase, at least in the two-wheeler space, there were some battery mishaps. Okay, that also kind of brought in a sense of fear in terms of safety in the minds of the customer. Now, how has that been countered? I think the two-wheeler market is done well and it's a passe, but I'm still touching upon it because if you have a view on it.
So, here I can say that batteries, and especially when you are dealing with this size of batteries, they go rigorous tests and also all type of weather conditions before they are actually brought into any vehicle. So when you see or hear cases like these, actually what we need to get into is the depth of the issue, that what triggered these kind of fires or accidents, in case of any mishap. And most of the times, if you see and you deep dive, you understand that the underlying cause of such fire or accident may be a different aspect and not related to the battery itself. So what happens is then the news comes around the vehicle or battery, because otherwise, if you see also at a parity level, there are cases which happens in ICE vehicles also. But globally, if you see, the percentage of electric vehicles catching fire is much lesser than the percentage of other cars catching fire. So that is the perspective we need to see, because but that is also because the industry is so new and nascent, that yes, these concerns are right. So everybody has to be cautious and aware about what are the causes of such things and how they can be avoided.
Understood. Now coming to aspects on it becoming a digital product, like your car tells you to navigate, it tells you who's driving it, is the person driving it safe. There are so many data elements that are coming out of a vehicle. So can you give us some flavor in terms of the innovation, or what is the thought process behind this?
So vehicles today are, I would say, a connected ecosystem themselves. So the concept of car as a mobility platform is slowly and gradually evolving to a car as a I would say experience, or a solution platform. Because today, with your vehicle, you can make it as a part of your life itself, because a lot of the things we are living in a connected world. The vehicles are connected, the softwares are smart, so a lot of our I would say life can be interconnected with the devices and the vehicles that we are using today. So that is what is shaping I would say this space, because with connected cars, a lot of also data that comes from the vehicle gives you a lot of insights on how the health of the vehicle, health of battery, for example, driving usage patterns. Then how can I use that data to give you more insights, which can be helpful for your experience as well. Personalization can happen a lot because of the data that you are recovering. So in an overall view, if you see, cars are becoming like a smartphone on wheels.
Absolutely.
So and with your data inputs and behavior, it can also show some really enriched insights, which can help us or as a brand to make your experience better.
Correct. But I'm personally very nervous with somebody knowing, where all I'm going, what all I'm doing, how where does consent, privacy, all of that fit into this?
Right. So yes, so there are I would say a clear demarcation on a personal data versus I would say a vehicle data. So you can look at from that way that the data that a vehicle is giving you can be used from a perspective of your usage behavior, on what recommendations basically maybe I can give you as from a vehicle insight. But this is without interfering in any of your personal information. So as long as I would say that these two things are managed separately, and thanks to the guidelines and the frameworks that we have, you are not, your personal data cannot be used. Yes,
is not being used.
Is not being used
in the current scale. So when you talk
Yes.
of insights, how fast am I driving? Things like that. Are we saying, or how am I recharging? What is the kind of matrices that this data will be carrying for
See,
insights?
on an average, a connected car can share thousands of data points per second. Now because your entire system can have a digital twin, and it can tell you all the kinds of operations that are having inside your vehicle. So now these insights can be developed into use cases where then we can make a meaningful use case for a consumer itself. I'll give you an example. So we did a pilot 3 years back where we created a concept called digital passport. So as a digital passport, by seeing your user driving behavior and patterns, the passport used to give you a score, and with that score you could use that score for getting your user base insurance premium. So if you're driving good, you can get incentivized by reducing your insurance premium. So these are the kind of examples where the data can help you. Or with your driving pattern, maybe I can give you a predictive maintenance schedule, that how you can see
Absolutely.
in future that what are the parts where you already need some attention, or you can repair them in advance before any major issue happens. So a lot of insights can be developed by using the data.
So I mean, so how do you handle this data if you're talking about 1,000 data points per minute?
Per second.
Yeah. So 1,000 data points per second. So how is this data handled? Where is AI playing a role?
Yeah, so see, these all get captured. I mean, these data points get captured, and like I said, so there's one thing which is a technical data that you are receiving. The second is how you are analyzing that data.
So there is a data science lab.
Not a lab per se, but we have a dedicated team which works on these data insights, and that helps to build more personalization, or I would say more insights for a user.
So product will also be tweaked basis this data, basis the information that you get from.
Your experience can be customized, I would say.
Experience can be
right
customized.
Because product change might need a larger, I would say, a framework, but at least your experience can be more personalized basis your preferences, experience, and requirement.
Understood. So when we move into digital data, UI, UX, and all that, and experience driven, then we also have app upgradation, app downtime, things like that also that needs to be significantly maintained from a consumer standpoint. So how is that thought about? How is that innovation happening in parallel?
So see, that's the beauty of, I would say, this entire digital platform and architecture. So now, since all cars are connected cars and all, so there's an option for over-the-air updates. So through OTAs, so if there is any new innovation which is coming up, or any new feature enhancements, etc., a lot of times you don't even need to go to the service center to get your car updated, because through OTAs, these updates can be automatically pushed to your cars, and your systems can be as good as new. So in that ways, if you see, there's a lot of, I would say, benefits, as well as there's a lot of similarity between your mobile phones and cars as well, in terms of the entire experience. So I think this is an area where there's a lot of new innovations are happening and can happen also in future, which can make your car as your personal assistant for a lot of things that you do on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Is India ready for driverless cars?
A very interesting question, Vilasini, there. So, when we talk about driverless cars, actually, this is the level of autonomy that any vehicle has. So, there are actually 5 levels of autonomy in the car, and when it is an autonomy level 5, then the car becomes driverless.
Understand.
If you see in India market now, you will find level 3 autonomous cars already available.
Okay.
And that also makes a lot of your I would say operations or features in the car intelligent. Now the transition from a level 3 to a fully driverless car, I would say that there's still some time to it, because it's not only about the feature of the vehicle, but your infrastructure needs to be ready to make an fully autonomous car to drive successfully in any road, I would say. So from that perspective, as till the time the infrastructure also is ready, because if you see in India, we have quite diverse and dynamic road conditions, and a lot of standardization is still required even for normal travel. So for fully driverless car, this vision is, I would say, very, very perfect, but that will need a lot of preparation to reach to that level.
So if we are sitting in 2035, Neha, what would we have achieved from an EV standpoint? What are some of the myths we would have broken? What do you think? Where will we be?
So if we look at the next 10-year journey, one thing I'm very, very positive about is that this transition is going to be steeper and steeper every year. Now and in fact, with my mobile background, I can also correlate that, because I've seen the industry moving at that time from a fully feature phone led market to smartphones, and smartphones also earlier, which were 50,000 rupees, to coming to a sub 5,000 rupees. And now you see every person can have access to a smartphone and a digital entire framework available. So if I look with a similar lens here, I can definitely see that there is going to be a very steep growth, number one. Number two, infrastructure, it is evolving, it is expanding. Now we just need to go to the next level, that in terms of road and in terms of charging, all this infrastructure can go hand in hand. Third thing, I see that EVs, like I said earlier, was a second choice in the family. They can go from a second choice to becoming a mainstream car. And this will also help to get more infrastructure utilization, in terms of business models as well. And I think with the right push, policy push, incentives, demand side and supply side both, so the economies of scale can also help to increase this penetration, and which will help us to reduce our fossil dependence, which will also help us to reduce our pollution problems. So I think from that perspective, 2035 or 10 years down the line, I think looks quite positive. It may not be 100% penetration, but it will be a significant jump from where we are.
Where you are today. One thing, Neha, that I wanted to ask you was that in a heavily at least I perceive it as a heavily male-dominated sector, which is manufacturing and automobile. What have your personal challenges been? What is diversity? How does diversity look like in MG? And what are your goals around that?
So, again, a very beautiful question, Vilasni. Manufacturing, if you see, traditionally has always been a male-dominated industry and sector. But as MG, when we started our journey, this is something that actually was taken into focus right from the day one, where we took an aim to have 50% diversity in our workforce. And that too at all levels. I mean, be it at a plant level or at a front end jobs, etc. So, and I'm really glad to share that today we are already at 38%, and we are still striving to reach that 50% gender diversity at the organization level. One thing that also,
it's heartwarming actually.
And one thing that has helped to build this diversity is also not only recruiting females, but also building a support system which is there to support them to thrive in a demanding career situation, right? So if you see, there are a lot of initiatives that has happened at an organization level to support individuals. How to support working moms, so we have special childcare centers in each of our offices, which takes care of the kids also. If you want to bring your kids to office, there are special transport requirements at the plant level to for the commute of
benefit
of girls, who are coming from some far areas to the plant. Then there was shift timings which were made flexible for accommodating female staff. So there are a lot of initiatives that happen at a organization level to ensure that one is having a target, but then how to also retain it and make the environment conducive enough for females to join the workforce. So for personally, at my level also, it has been a really enriching journey, I would say, because at every level I have a support system at an organization, and also I have friends, peers and seniors whom I can take advice and counsel as well, in terms of any guidance when required.
I understand.
If I look at an industry landscape, yes, it's an area where there's a room for more.
Personally, I have been trying to, find people, women in manufacturing at senior levels that I can interview on VWP,
Yeah.
And it hasn't been very easy to do so.
Yeah.
So I presume that the industry operates in a particular manner, which is changing.
So when it comes to my personal experience, Vilasni, one thing I can share is, while at an organization level, we are doing a lot of initiatives, but at an industry level, I think there is still a lot of room to have more diversity across forums, platforms, organizations. I'm really fortunate and glad to be part of an organization which is actually committed to this cause. But it is I'll be super delighted to also see equal representation of diversity. And I'm not only talking about gender diversity. It is diversity from different backgrounds, different experiences as well, which can be built and brought into this industry,
right,
to bring new age solution and solutions and innovative ideas into this space.
Right.
In fact, I would through your platform, I would like to request and encourage young girls to come up and take this space, because this is an upcoming field. This is EV as an industry, as a segment, is going to have a lot of opportunities. We need talented females, in the industry to come up and take this as a career option and choice. And with diverse perspective, this space is definitely going to get a lot of value from these girls and leaders in the future.
I understand. It's interesting you say this, because I've heard one other leader in the automobile space say that they're willing to hire, but the talent pool is limited to a certain extent. So Do you also face that? And, will women coming up encourage it far more?
See, let's face it, there is also a reality that we see in life, that as a woman we need to play a lot of roles. And I've seen so many times that because of personal priorities and obviously personal commitments and all, a lot of talented girls and leaders, they have to opt out, sometimes not out of their willingness but out of personal
True.
priorities and focus, that they opt out of mainstream workforce, and then they but they always want to come back.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, if you have taken a significant career break, or you are out of the industry for some time, you then feel a bit reluctant, underconfident sometimes also, to come back and contribute. So here I would say, jointly, if such initiatives can be taken up, where we can encourage such talent to come back into the mainstream line. I'll give you an example. MG has a beautiful initiative called Drive Her Back, where we every year invite applications from women who have taken a career break due to some reason or the other. But if they are willing to come back, and this is irrespective of their background, experience, number of years, etc., to come back and join us, and be a part of the mainstream again. And like this, so we definitely can have more such opportunities for one is a new talent pool which is coming, and secondly the talent pool which is there, which is just waiting for an opportunity to come back into the mainstream work. So
Understood.
I think with such initiatives there can be more participation.
Like one of our guests said, the leaky pipeline. So all of this,
Yeah.
drives to arrest that which is so important.
Right.
Because one has to acknowledge that there are those life cycles, there are those moments that, we can't avoid, being a mother and being a woman.
And by nature of all this makes women a perfect multitasker.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming to your own life, you're a mother of young twins, and, how do you balance it all, Neha?
So, yes, this is, I would say, a very exciting and very fulfilling part of the life as well, because they keep the innocence and the purity back in place. But having said that, this is also an equally hectic phase. Two jobs at home and at work as well. But again, I would say that you need to have a strong support system. I do have a very strong support system at home, and I think this is one very important aspect, because of which I am able to manage both my professional and personal responsibilities. So my message to all the women will also be that while you are, because as our young age we also study hard, make our career, and we have our aspirations. So if you want to in future pursue both, which is your professional responsibilities and personal responsibilities, do also prepare an ecosystem which can support you.
Absolutely.
And that will help you a lot in your professional and personal growth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Neha. Before I let you go, we're going to do a quick rapid fire. Okay. Which car do you drive?
MG ZSUV.
Okay. What's your favorite song on the playlist?
So my playlist actually has a combination of all the genres depending upon my mood. But generally, whenever I'm in a low mood, I definitely go back to my favorite one, which is Celine Dion. That's the way it is.
Okay. And what do you listen to outside of music in your car?
Outside the music, I do listen to podcasts. Because that's a very good use of time when you are stuck in traffic. And apart from that, I also use that time to connect with a lot of people on call, because that is the time you can connect with your friends and family as well.
Yeah. Weekends, long drives, or couching at home?
Long drives preferred, but if the time does not permit, then couching at home.
What is the last book you've read?
Ayn Rand, Fountainhead.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. And what's the last movie you saw? What's the last content you consumed?
So I think for the last 2 years, movies have been totally stopped now. So I've been to kids shows.
Okay.
So that is where my weekend is
Okay.
for. So yeah.
Okay, understood. Where was the last trip you took with your kids?
I just went to Sariska.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see a
Yeah.
tiger?
No.
Okay. What's your comfort food, Neha?
Dal chawal.
Dal chawal.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your life mantra in a line?
So progress is always better than perfection.
Mm.
And whenever you fail, never waste a good failure.
Wow, that's heavy and yeah, very, very deep. Thank you, Neha. I think it's a very, very great privilege for me to meet you. Your clarity, your fungibility, if I may say so, that you're able to carry your skills so effortlessly from one sector to another is very, very inspiring. And good luck to
Thank
everything
you.
in the
Thank you so
sector.
much.
And pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to yet another wonderful episode from VWP. It gives us enormous pleasure to create this content for you. If you enjoyed listening to the conversation, please hit the subscribe button and do let us know your favorite moments from the conversation. We would also love to hear if you have any guest recommendations for us. Of course, please don't miss our shorts section where we have our favorite moments compiled in bite-sized formats for you. So keep listening, keep growing, and do subscribe to the We Women Project. This is your host, signing off. Thank you.